Did you know that you can get this hat pattern free on the Marley Bird website just for signing up for a newsletter? Well, you can. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make it. I'm Marley Bird, your By Crafty bestie. Let's go.
Show me love, show me love. This is all we got. Show me love.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. As I said, I am here to show you everything you need to know to create this beautiful celebration hat. I made this hat pattern out of a gorgeous hand-dyed yarn from a company called Sock Yarn Obsessions. That's right, it's called Sock Yarn Obsessions, but this is an Aran weight yarn, obviously not sock weight, and it is a beautiful colorway. The great thing about working up this pattern with this yarn is it lets the yarn really get highlighted. So you can choose any one of your favorite hand-dyed yarns that maybe you bought as a celebration of a vacation or something wonderful that happened at work or with your family, and you can make up this really great hat. In this video, I plan on showing how this hat pattern would work up with a solid color yarn for those of you who prefer solids, and that way you can easily see how these stitches are created. Okay, the brim of this hat is made up using slip stitches, which might not be your favorite, but I'm telling you, you need to work the slip stitch brim so that way when we transition to the body, look how seamless that looks. We will work into these ridges of the brim to make it look like it's a continuous stitch going right up from the brim. It looks very much like a knit stitch, right? It looks really great. I mean, did you even know that this was made with the brim first and then we pick up stitches for the body? Probably not. But did I mention that this hat was also made using only one hank of yarn? Like, this is the yarn that was left over when I was making this hat. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so in this video, I plan on using We Crochet or Knit Picks twill yarn. This is a beautiful yarn. It's so soft. I love working with it. And I've grabbed 3 different colors so we can see what it would look like if maybe we worked up some stripes. But I'm going to get started here with this gorgeous gold color. As I mentioned, I will be using the gold color of the twill for the brim of my hat. And I will place a slip knot directly onto my hook. Now I am going to chain 6 because I like the way the 5 stitches for the brim look, but if you want more or less, you can absolutely do that. But once you get that slip knot on your hook, go ahead and chain 6 stitches. Now in the second chain from hook, working into the back loop only. Back loop only, can you see that? You're going to go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Make sure your hook is parallel to your chains, to the body of your work, and pull that through. Do not give that any extra tug. That's as simple as this is. Go to the next chain, back loop only, pull up a loop, and then pull that through. Back loop only, pull up a loop, pull that through. Notice each time I bring my hook up parallel to my work, and I make sure that I am not pulling on these slip stitches any tighter than it is just to pull them through. Chain 1, turn my work. Again, going to the back loop only. Pull up a loop, hook is parallel, and pull through. I do want to caution you, it's at this point, it's very easy to get discombobulated with your work. Like it's hard to see what's the right side, wrong side, front side, back side, because everything kind of looks the same right now. So really, keep a hold of it in your hand. Don't let it drop. Or if you need to, you can go ahead and put a stitch marker on one side of your work so that way you can tell which side is your right side or which side is the top, which part is the bottom, like whatever you choose to do. Chain 1 and turn. It's at this point, I don't need it, right? Because I have my tail here, so I can use my tail as part of a reference. But you want to make sure as you chain 1 and turn, you are not working into that chain. You're just working into the back leg of each of these slip stitches. And again, you do not want these too tight, okay? You want these to be the same size as your hook. And if you bring your hook up parallel, it makes it so that everything is the right size. Do not go through your stitch and then tighten it up, like pull this yarn, that makes everything too tight. And you should maintain a 5 stitch count all the way across. Chain 1, turn, and keep going. You will work your brim until it's the length written in the pattern for the size you want to make. This pattern is written for multiple sizes, so make sure you do follow along with the size that's best for you. So you just keep doing this. You want to make sure you're maintaining those 5 stitches. Make sure that you are not making the stitches tighter as you go. Keep them all the same size. Your work should be nice and even, and it's going to look a little like that. Okay, continue on with your brim. I'm going to continue on with mine. Join me back here and we will carry on with the body of the hat. Have fun. Hello and welcome back. Hopefully that ribbing didn't take you too long. By this point, your work looks a little something like this, and you have gone ahead and counted each of your ridges to make sure it coincides with the size you are making. Now, when you count the ridges, if you look at sort of those stacked V's, that is the ridge I'm talking about, okay? It's at this point we want to join this so that way it becomes a ring. So you'll notice that I am on the side of my work where here's the tail that I began. And what I want to do is work a slip stitch edging along here, just like I've been doing before. But this time I'm also going to work through those live stitches right there from my chain edge. So let's go ahead, maneuver my hands. I got to the end here and I will chain 1 and turn. And then I will go through the back leg or the back loop of that stitch, and then bring the other end up and go into the corresponding back stitch, okay? Once you've gone through both of those, now you'll yarn over, pull through both of those and through the loop on your hook. And then you do it again. Go to the next back loop, go to the next one on the corresponding edge, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. You do this for all 5 of those stitches. And what you will notice, I'll pull that up so you can see, when I open this up, it looks almost seamless, okay? Really close to seamless. If I go to the inside, it does have a little bump of the seam there. I'm not worried about it because this is the side I'm going to work on, okay? It's at this point, we now want to work along the edge here. So we're going to no longer work back and forth in our brim like so. You turn your work 90 degrees. Now we continue on with the instructions as they're written for the body of the hat. So in order to do that, what you will do is keep working with the loop that you still have available to you here. You're not going to rejoin yarn or anything like that. You keep this right here. And this is our setup row, okay? Remember when we counted all of these V's working around? Okay, now we're going to work into that V there as if it is like a the waistcoat stitch or the split single crochet. And so we're going to work into those so that way we can continue working up with those stitches and it will look seamless. Okay, so working into the V, the slip stitch edge, we're going to single crochet into the V of the slip stitch edge, and then we're going to put a single crochet into each one of the gullies here. Okay, so I am going to chain 1 to begin with, and I'm going to start right here. See how there's a V right there? I'm literally just going to take my hook and pierce it right through the center of that V, yarn over, pull up a loop, and single crochet. Make sure you don't single crochet that too tight because we will be going into that section of that single crochet next time. Now just kind of spread your 2 ridges apart and just pick a point that you want to be consistent with. Go into that point and single crochet. Here's the next V right here. So I'm going to go right there into the center of that V and pierce it through and up and then single crochet. Go to the gully, single crochet. Here's the V, go right into it. You're going to do this all the way around until you have the correct number of stitches that you need to carry on with the body of your hat. Make sure as you are creating these single crochets, especially the ones that you're putting into those V's, you do not want them to be too tight or you will never be able to get into them carrying on, because we will continue working with that split single crochet at different points of the pattern to create that really great ridged look for the body of the hat that looks like it's seamless, right? As you come up to the end of the round, make sure you're ending with a single crochet in essentially the gully. And then you are not going to join with the slip stitch. We're actually going to jump right into pattern. So we're going to go to that very first single crochet you did, and we're going to work a split single crochet. So all that means is if you're looking at your single crochet here, you can see there's a V right there. I want you to go right into that V just like you were doing all before and make a split single crochet just like so. Now, if you want to mark that stitch so that you know where it is the next time you come around, you can go ahead and put a marker in it if you want. That's totally up to you. But you're going to start off here with that split single crochet into the first stitch of the round. Now we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to do a split single crochet into this one. So go right in just like you were doing before and work a split single crochet. This is what's going to allow the stitches to look like they're seamless going from the brim all the way up into the body of the hat. 1, 2, and 3 single crochet into the back loop only, and then split single crochet right through the V of that single crochet and create it. Again, make sure you're not making those single crochets for the split single crochet. Make sure they are not too tight because it will make it nearly impossible for you to get those stitches in there the next time. So pierce right through, yarn over, pull up. That first loop is the one that you're going to be working into next time. So make sure you pulled it up like parallel, like put your hook parallel to the work, yarn over, pull through, see how that becomes that V. And that's what you will work on the next time you come around. So it becomes important. Back loop only for 3 stitches. And then we do this again. And you do this until your hat measures the distance listed in the pattern. So it could be 5.5 inches, it could be 6 inches, it could be 6.5 inches, or if you want to make it even bigger, make it bigger. Do whatever you want, okay? So you want to do this until the hat measures what you want it to from the brim edge, okay? And it's at that point you would move on to the crown. And because I want to maintain the stitch pattern throughout the crown, there's a very specific decrease that we do for the crown. So let's go ahead, continue on doing this. After you work all the way around, when you get back down here, you're going to start the next row right there where I have that marked, right through that split single crochet. And so you will just continue going round and round and round until the body of your hat is the distance that you want. If you want to change colors, you will always change colors in that split single crochet here at the start, like on like every round or every other round, whatever you choose to do, and have fun with it. So go finish the body of your hat. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll meet you back here and we'll work on the crown. By this point, you should have completed the body of your hat. I know you're super excited. You're just as excited as my doggies are back there. Okay, so by this point, your hat looks a little something like this, whether you did 1 color, 2 colors, whatever amount of color work that you did. I chose to do some stripes. And the body of your work measures from the bottom of your brim all the way up to where your last row is whatever the measurement is in the pattern. For me, I made the largest size, so this measures about 6 inches. It's at this point we're going to do some decreases down for the shaping for the top of the hat. You can see here on the original sample, we have the distance up to here, and then you can see that we go from 3 stitches between our split single crochets here. We go down to 2 stitches, 2 stitches, 2 stitches, then we go down to 1 stitch. So it's from this point forward, these rows right here, this is what we're adding to our work to decrease down for the top of the hat. And even though this looks like it's, you know, more height added to the hat, it's actually height that's added, and it's going to curve in here. So the distance right now that you have, it should be enough that it's going to cover your ears or cover the ears of the recipient, because you don't want it to be like up too high. That's just not very fun. And at the same time, you don't want it too big that it falls down over their eyes. So there's a fine line there. I will say the numbers I gave you are the standard distances for these sizes, so you should be okay. But I wanted to let you know in case you wanted to do any sort of customization. All right, so we're going to work on the crown of the hat here. And when we do the crown of the hat, we're going to work decreases every third round, and we will do it in such a way that we're going to maintain the look of our pattern. So as we do these decreases on this first round, we will maintain our split single crochets here, but we will work a single crochet 2 together through the back loop in here. All right, so that way we're decreasing down inside this area. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to get you started on that right now. I'm at the end of my row here. You can tell because I have my marker here, just like we've been doing all along. So I will start off with my split single crochet right here. Then I single crochet 1 through the back loop. And it's at this point I will single crochet 2 together through the back loop. So I go into the back loop of the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, go into the back loop of the second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, draw through all 3. Notice that leaves with 1 V at the top, so we just decreased 2 stitches down to 1. Now I come over here to this split single crochet and I work that. As I'm doing this, I do want to make sure that I'm not keeping this really flat. I want these stitches to start to kind of cone in on each other, if that makes any sense. So for example, like I will single crochet in this first one, and when I go to single crochet in this one and I do it the 2 together, when I bring them up, I do want to make sure that they are coming close together. Like I'm not having this V up here really stretched far. I want that V up there to be about the same size as all of the others. I probably made that one a little bit too far, but it'll be okay for this one. But my point here is you want to make sure that these are starting to decrease down. It's starting to close the top of your hat. Okay, so here we go again. Back loop, pull up a loop, back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3. That one's a little big. I'm going to shorten that up just a little. And there we go. So it really all starts off with the loop that's on your hook. You want to make sure that it is not overstretched, so that way you can get a nice and tidy stitch there. So back looped. Okay, so my yarn on my hook's pretty nice and snug. Back loop, pull up a loop, back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3. It looks good. And you will see that as you're going along, the work that you finish, it starts to want to kind of cone in, right? Because that's what it's going to the top of the hat. It's starting to do this, okay? Okay, we're going to work this decrease round all the way around just like this, doing a split single crochet, a single crochet through the back loop, then a single crochet 2 together through the back loop. Repeat. What that is going to do is make it so that we are adjusting the stitch count so that we will only have 2 single crochets through the back loop between the split single crochets when we get to rounds 2 and 3. Okay, so you will work in the sequence that you've already established, keeping all of the split single crochets the same, and then you'll only have 2 back loop single crochets between the split single crochets. Make sense? On round 4, that's when we do another decrease round. You know how to do it. It's literally the same type of decrease. You will do your split single crochet, and then you will do a single crochet through the back loop only over those 2 single crochets, right, that we've already established, and then split single crochet. So what that is going to do is get you down to where you only have 1 single crochet between each of your split single crochets. You got that? So you'll maintain that stitch pattern then for 2 more rounds. It's at that point that you will be on round 7. Round 7's decrease has you do something a little bit different. So go ahead, work your decreases all the way until you get to round 7. Meet me back here and I'll walk you through how to do that. I know you can do this. You have got this. Go ahead and let's go. Okay, so it's time to work that different set of decreases. Let's go ahead and take a look. As you can see, I'm ready to go on my round 7 decrease here. And for this round, the very first stitch is a decrease. So we're going to do a decrease that combines the split single crochet and the single crochet through the back loop. So let's go ahead. We'll go into the first split single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop. Go into the back leg or the back loop of that next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3 of those. Okay, see how it looks like we're just left with the split single crochet. Now, as you do this, it's going to be very, very important that you try and maintain a nice, I don't want to say tight because I don't want this to be tight, but I do want the loop right here, that's the one that was on your hook to begin with. I want that to remain nice and uniform, so that way the top of your hat doesn't look like it has big gaping holes. Okay, so you've got to make sure that you're maintaining these stitches nice and snug together. I like to do that by holding my fabric together a little bit more. Does that make sense? So as I come over here, I do pull that a little bit snug on my hook itself, do my split, pull that up where I like it, and then pull that through the back loop only, yarn over, draw through all 3. Now, if you find that this is too bulky, the other thing you could do is you can go into your split, pull up a loop, go into your back loop only, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop all the way through. The thing that I don't like about this is I feel like it puts extra pressure on that portion, and I don't really like it. That's why I didn't use it. But you could if you want to. So for me, I prefer to have the 3 loops and then pull through all 3. It just gives me an easier stitch to get into, I think. But we're going to do this all the way around, okay? Because we want those columns of V's actually, we want the column of V to extend all the way up to the top of the crown. Whether you use a pom-pom or not, it just makes everything look neater, I think. So you'll do this all the way around. As you come up to the end, you now have an established pattern of split single crochets all the way around. So for rounds 8 and 9, we are simply going to do split single crochets into every stitch. So as I come up here for the first stitch of the next round, I work my split single crochet, and I will do that all the way around. Okay, so it's just full round of split single crochets. Again, try and keep them a little bit loose so that way you can get into each stitch, but keep the stitches as they transition from one to the next. Try and keep this as closed as possible because you don't want it to be overstretched. So you'll notice I kind of open mine up a little like this so that way I can see the circle and just try and work tightly in that circle. Okay. So I just completed 1 round. I'm getting ready to start the second round of just even. And it's after that, I do 1 more round of decreases and then fasten it off. So those decreases, though, will be done as split single crochet 2 together, which by this point you probably can assume how to do, but I want to make sure you know. So let's get around this round of split single crochets, and I'll show you the very last decrease round, which is the very last round period on your hat. Then we can finish this masterpiece up. Okay, this is my last stitch of round 9. So now on round 10, I'm going to work decreases all the way around. And the point of that is I want to get this hole just a little bit smaller so that way I can pull all the stitches together and it'll be nice and neat. Now, I've done my 3 rows here that I've done down here, but because I don't want to do just one round with the dark gray here, I'm just going to finish it up with the gold, just because that's just the way it worked out. But let's do the split single crochet 2 together, which I'm assuming you know how to do. And on this one, we do want to make sure everything is really nice and snug. We're not going to go into these stitches again, so I'm not too worried about having to work into them again. I'm more concerned about making sure that the hole is nice and secure, so the stitches are nice and snug together. So one way to go about doing that is make sure that the loop on your hook is nice and snug. Pull up a loop, make sure it's nice and snug. Go into the next split single crochet, pull up a loop, make sure it's nice and snug, and then pull them all together. Give them a nice little tug, and then come to the next. Make sure the loop on your hook is nice and tight. Go into the split single crochet, pull up a loop, give it a pull. Go into the next split single crochet. This one I did a little snug. Give it up, give it a pull, and pull them together. This is unlike any of the others we've done because we're pulling these really tighter, much tighter than we would if we were down here. See, we would never get into that stitch if we were doing it in another part of the pattern. But because this is the very last row or round of the pattern, and it's the top of the hat, we want these to be nice and snug, very nice and tight together. So we're just working into 2 split single crochets at a time so that we get 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And just try and keep everything really, really uniform and secured together. Don't let things get too overstretched. And it all starts off with the loop on your hook. Make sure that loop on your hook is really snug. And then as you pull up each of the loops through the split single crochets, make sure you're in the split single crochet. Like that one, I just didn't get into one. As you pull up into each split single crochet, make sure those are snug. So in the very last stitch of all this, we have 1 remaining split single crochet. So we will go into that without doing a decrease. We'll just go right into it and just split single crochet, okay? And then we will slip stitch into the first stitch here, okay? So we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch just to close this off. All right, you got that? Now, I'm going to give myself a decent sized tail, and I'm going to grab my bent tip tapestry needle, and I am going to secure the top of my hat. I'm going to show you how I do this. So right here, I'm just going to put my yarn, like I'm essentially pulling my tail through the loop that was on my hook and giving it just a pull. Now you can see the top of my hat. It's come together really nice and neat, right? But it's not all the way closed, which is just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tapestry needle and I'm going to weave the tail through this loop right here, not the whole stitch, just that top loop that's exposed. And I'm just weaving it around, right? I don't want it to tie a knot on me or anything. So I'm going from outside to inside all the way around. And so what I will do when I get back to the end is I will be able to pull this like a drawstring. Now the yarn I'm using, the twill yarn here, is nice and really sturdy and secure, so I will be able to pull this without fear of my yarn breaking. If you're using a yarn for some reason that is not very stable and you're afraid it's going to break, just make sure you pull it a little bit gently and everything should be okay. All right, so this is literally one of my favorite parts. So I just hold right here and take my yarn and I'm just going to pull it. You can see it pulls the whole top of my hat closed, but I can't leave it just like there, right? Because it'll just come undone. So it's at this point I usually will come back and then I will thread the tail through again, and then I will take the tail to the inside of the work and weave it to the inside to make sure that this stays nice and closed. See how that's pulling it closed? And it's just a really pretty finish. So if you're not going to use a pom-pom at the top of your hat, maybe the person, or maybe even you don't like a pom-pom, this is a really great way to finish the top of the hat. To me, it just looks like you're puckering up, like it's a pucker of a kiss, right? So then you pop this down to the inside of your work. Okay, it's nice and snug. We're going to now pop it to the inside, rotate this to the inside, and this is where we secure it. So we make sure that's really nice and tight there, and then you're going to go back and forth here and really secure this. If the tapestry needle is a little bit too thick for you to secure things, all right, I do like to take really, really sharp chenille needles. So it's a really sharp chenille needle, and I will thread my yarn on here. And then what I do here, on this side here, you guys, I'm putting my finger like right on the little pucker spot so I know where it is, because it kind of gets a little hard to see. But I will weave and cut through the actual yarn fibers here. And it really secures your tail in, it secures the top of your hat, and you're doing it all where I'm making sure that my yarn and my needle are not going through to the outside or the right side of the work. I'm just cutting through stitches here. And with all of those split single crochets, you have a lot of thickness here with the two togethers and such to work through. You can see there it's tricky, right? It's tricky to work through. So I'm just going through them just a little bit more. That one's going to be really tight. I'm like, I don't think I could pull that one through. All right, that one will be good. I mean, and at this point, I'd feel pretty good with my end and how secure it is right here. I could go one more if I wanted to. Maybe this is the last one. You notice I just went around like in a snaking motion. And once that's all secure and I like it, I can snip my yarn without any fear of that coming undone. So now the top of my hat is nice and closed really nice. Because I did change colors, I do have ends to weave in, not too many. And for those, I did carry up on the inside. So my ends are really just down here and then my two up here. And then I had to change yarn color over here. But I can weave those in. But it's at this point I can take a look at the hat. It looks nice and neat. And because I absolutely know that most people, if you're going to give this as a gift or when you put on a hat, it always happens that the seam is always like on the front somehow. So I like to use a name tag, like a Marley Bird name tag or whatever tag you have. And I put it right at that seam portion because then people tend to put that along the side. So it's no longer like front and center as they're wearing the piece. So let me show you where I would add my tag. All right, so here's a Marley Bird tag, and I got this off of Etsy, but right here is the join at my brim, right? My join at my brim. So I would take my tag and I would add it right there. And so it covers that up and it just makes a nice, neat little addition right there. Now you could use rivets, you could use thread, or you could use the actual yarn you used on your project. So let's see here. Actually, I think that needle is too big to thread this through. So I'll use my chenille needle again and I'll just pop this into place. And there you go. I wove in all my ends, added my little tag, and I have a lovely little hat. Okay, the hat is finished. Let's see how it looks. Give me just a second. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Look how great the top of the hat looks with that finishing. And I love the stripes. So fun. Oh my goodness, this is perfect. And this yarn feels incredibly soft. You can see my tag is over here on the side. Oh, I love it. Let's see without my glasses. Well, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, everybody. I hope you have loved making your very own celebration hat. I would love to see your projects, whether you're working on them or you finish them. I would love to see them. Make sure you share with me on social media. Use hashtag MarleyBird or hashtag MMMDI for Marley Made Me Do It. And I'll be sure to smash your like button. That's it for me, everybody. Don't forget, this is a free pattern over at marleybird.com. Click the link in the video description box down there below, and you too could have one of these lovely crochet celebration hats. Bye, guys. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. This is so adorable. So adorable.